of the Executive Council, firstly, we extend our condolences to the Mkhwanazi family for the loss and death of Councillor Philip Mkhwanazi, induna yesizwe sakwaMkhwanazi under Umtubatuba municipality in Umkhanyaku, the district council. We know him for his activism and the role he has played in championing the cause of freedom of our people, as well as ensuring development of the area of Umtubatuba, and his contribution has been one of those noticeable toward making South Africa a better place for all humanity to live. Honorable Speaker, the second announcement is to inform the House about the Africa Day celebration which was held yesterday. On the 25th of May, 1963, the Organization of African Union or of African Unity was formed. It has evolved for years as the shield and the spear for the African people to fight colonialism and also ensure that we attain liberation. It subsequently became the African Union. There are a number of decisions that have been taken by African Union, but most significantly, the adoption of the Agenda 2063, which is a blueprint for the Africa's developmental trajectory and ensure humans' rights and humans' dignity for our people. KwaZulu-Natal joined the people of Africa yesterday through a virtual concert that was organized by the Department of Arts and Culture to celebrate the struggles of the people of Africa, their contribution in the human development and the global economic growth. We took note that the commemoration of the Africa Day took place when our country, the continent, and the world as a whole is engulfed by coronavirus pandemic. We are grateful of the fact that the Disaster Center of the AU Health Association, and we send our deepest gratitude to millions of healthcare professionals who are in the forefront in the fight against this pandemic. Once again, Honorable Speaker, we say, may God bless Africa as sons and daughters. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. On item number 5, tablings. These are the tablings that have been received by the Office of the Speaker on behalf of the legislature. The KZN legislature program performance for the fourth quarter, January to March 2020, and consolidated performance report, April 2019 to March 2020, KZN legislature expenditure report for the month of April 2020, KZN legislature 2020-21, April 2020 budget performance report. There is a link provided to download those files. KwaZulu-Natal legislature 2020-2021 annual performance plan, KZN legislature 2020-2025 strat plan, the finance portfolio committee report on the division of revenue bill 2020, bill 3-2020 final mandate, office of the premier annual performance plan 2020-21 and office of the premier strat plan 2020-25. Department of Economic Development and Tourism and Environmental Affairs, we've received the RBI DZ Annual Performance Plan 2020-21, KZN Growth Fund Annual Performance Plan 2021, KZN Gaming and Betting Strategic Plan 2024, KZN Tourism Trade and Investment Annual Performance Plan 2021, KZN Sharks Annual Performance Plan 2021, KZN Liquor Authority Annual Performance Plan 2021, KZN Film Commission Annual Performance Plan 2021, Ezemvelo KZN Wildlife Threat Plan 2025, Itala IDFC and SOC Annual Performance Plan 2021, KZN Dube Trade Port Corporation Annual Performance Plans 2021, Moses Gotane Institute Annual Performance Plan 2021, Itala Development Annual Report 2018-19, Department of Social Development, we've received Department of Social Development Annual Performance Plan 2021, DSD Strat Plan 2025-25, Department of Arts and Culture, we've received Annual Performance Plan for 20-21, Strat Plan for 20-25, Department of Public Works and Human Settlement, we've received the Annual Performance Plan for year 2021, Strat Plan for 20-25, Human Settlements Annual Performance Plan 2021, Human Settlements Strat Plan 2025, Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, we've received the Annual Performance Plan for 20-21, the strategy and the Strat Plan. Department of Transport, we've also received the APP for 2021, Transport Strat Plan for 20-25. Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, we've received the Annual Performance Plan 2021, Strat Plan 20-25. Department of Community Safety and Liaison, we've received the APP 20-21, Strategic Plan 20-25. Department of Education, we've received the Annual Performance Plan 2021, Strat Plan 2025. And Department of Health, we have received the Annual Performance Plan 2021, Strategic Plan 2025. Department of Sports and Recreation, we've received the Annual Performance Plan 2021, the Strat Plan 2025. And then KZN Treasury, we've received the Annual Performance Plan 2021, Strategic Plan 2025, Consolidated Financial Statements for departments for the year ended 31 March 2019. Is there any other tabling that wants to be done? Someone has a tabling that has to be done now. Is there any other tabling that has to be done that was not mentioned here? You just unmute your mic and say the name of the committee or the department that wants to do the tabling. Thank you, honorable members. There is no other tabling. Can we move now to item number 6, formal motions or notices by the Chief Whip? Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are no formal motions and notices. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, we are now going to go to the next item, which is the orders of the day. Item number 7 is the orders of the day. Orders of the day is the debate on division of Revenue Bill, Bill 3 of 2020. The first speaker on the bill will be the report by the Chairperson of the Finance Portfolio Committee on the division of the Revenue Bill, Honorable S. Singosi, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for allowing us to table this on behalf of the Finance Portfolio Committee. Want to report that we received this bill on the 6th of April 2020. And the committee on the 22nd of April received the briefing from our friends from the National Treasury. In accordance with the Section 118 of the Constitution, the committee must facilitate public involvement in the legislative process. Accordingly, invitations were sent to various stakeholders such as municipalities, academics, including the notice calling for written submission. But want to report, Honorable Speaker, that we did not receive any submission. A virtual public meeting was held on the 19th of May 2020. On the very same day, the Finance Portfolio Committee met and all its members agreed to confer the provincial negotiating mandate to the NCOP in support of the bill. On the 20th of May 2020, we are told that the NCOP Select Committee on Appropriations met to consider the provincial negotiating mandates. No amendments, Honorable Speaker, we are told were made in that particular meeting. The Provincial Finance Portfolio Committee of KwaZulu-Natal met again on the 22nd of May 2020 to consider a final mandate in respect of the bill. All members of the Finance Portfolio Committee were present in that meeting, voted in support of the bill, and recommended the following to the sitting. One, that this sitting adopts the report of the Finance Portfolio Committee in respect of the Division of Revenue Bill 2020. Two, that the legislature confers authority on the head of the provincial delegation to the NCOP or a delegate designated by the head of the delegation to cast a vote in favor of this bill in the plenary of the NCOP. This is the report, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Ngosi. The next speaker is Honorable B. Ntjangase for 7 minutes of the ANC. Honorable B. Ntjangase.
Speaker, thank you, Speaker, for allowing me to debate on this crucial money bill for 2020. Indeed, this opportunity comes at the moment as a province we are in an economic impasse, a time where all of humanity is at loggerheads battling against a coronavirus COVID-19 epidemic outbreak that's threatened and cripple our way of life.
Okay,
Someone is.
Honorable members, do not disturb the speaker on the podium. Honorable Ntjangase, continue speaking.
Thank you, Speaker. In spite of the economic challenges that we face, including ill-timed downgrading by rating agencies and worsened by the coronavirus, we are elated to note that the allocation to KZN government departments continues to show a steady increment. This continued to demonstrate the ANC resilient and unwavering commitment to its 2019 election manifesto to grow South Africa together. We do not, however, take lightly the trust and the confidence that the masses of South Africa and the province and the people of the province have allocated to us as an African National Congress. We remain therefore committed to the aspiration of the Freedom Charter and the vision of the Oliver Tambo in creating a non-racial, non-sexist and prosperous society. In that spirit, Honorable Speaker, we have therefore thoroughly studied the 2020 bill and have applied our senses to the extent to which it is enable us as us and our department to maximize service delivery and allows the department to make urgently interventions. We have also compared it with the one of 2019. It's in this comparison, the encouragement of our support as an ANC for this bill. The 2020 bill allocates the equitable share of 111.441 billion of all 15 departments, including the legislature. This amount money shows an increase of 106 billion, which is allocated in 2019. We noted that KZN comes second in Gauteng province for the first time in 2020. The main reason for this is the outward migration of people on KwaZulu-Natal to Gauteng, mainly in search for better jobs opportunities. We remember that this observation was also supported by the census in 2011. Honorable Speaker, the DORA bill also allocated 22 billion in the form of conditional grant to KwaZulu-Natal. This is also show a slight increase from 21.1 billion allocated in 2019. Honorable Speaker, it is worth mentioning that National Treasury commended KwaZulu-Natal for its improved rate of spending of allocated conditional grant. However, National Treasury pointed out that spending on CASP, Ilima Letsema and Land Care Grant were always underspent. As an ANC, we encourage our department and public entities to spend their allocation budgets in full so as to avoid being victims of cuts due to underspending. And also COVID-19 is a new major challenge and it will impose a major stress on our budget. Honorable Speaker, as an ANC, we fully support the 2020 Division of Revenue Bill. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next member who's going to take the podium is Honorable V.F. Tabitha of the IFP for 5 minutes. Honorable members are worried. Honorable Tabitha, honorable members are sending messages worried about timekeeping. We have a timekeeper with us. We are stopwatching. We are even using a stopwatch. We will indicate when your time is up. Bulawayo.
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Premier, as well as honorable members, having participated in the budget briefings of the appropriation bill, the IFP has the following contribute. We note the enormous budget cuts brought upon the province by the National Treasury. Whilst when considering the sharp economic decline in the country and the fluid economic situation there too, we can already say that the writing has already been on the wall in respect of these cuts. However, some considerations need to be constantly pursued by our provincial authorities when meeting with their national counterparts. Our population decline in the province, which results in the provincial financial decline in the resources by the Fiscal Commission, is not a realistic one. KwaZulu-Natal services people who get counted in Gauteng during census while remaining KZN citizens in their places of residence. This abnormality possesses a bearing to our provincial pairs. KwaZulu-Natal borders the Eastern Cape in the south, Swaziland and Mozambique in the northeast, Lesotho in the northwest. In most instances, the social amenities of this province carry a lot of unfunded pressure from the communities of these areas. This has to be compensated by the national fiscus. Be that as it may, the IFP wants to reiterate our call for prudent spending and fiscal discipline on the resources at hand. We note the practice of slow spending with concern by especially the provincial entities and some government departments on the compensation of employees' budget. This kind of practice points to irregular budgeting. We thus call upon all portfolio committees to ensure effective oversight on the spending patterns on the departments and entities. We are also concerned at some departments who are failing to abide by the conditions of grant spending. This results in the province losing some additional financial resources when these grants get withheld or cut off completely. For 2020-21, the EPWP incentive grant to the province has been lost in some of our departments for their failure to spend or incorrect spending and reporting. COVID-19 has brought an added burden to our already strained resources. We will wait the reports from departments in these regards to see how they make changes and adjustments to face this pandemic. The IFP, however, is equally concerned with environments and funds shifts, which are only meant to make the books look good. This is as good as fiscal dumping. Some departments go to next about. The IFP requests the Department of Finance to carefully consider all requests for environments and funds shift before they give their full approval. We are also equally concerned about the departments that have reflected chronic underspending trend, the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Social Development. We also note that ATIA has no funds budgeted for Umtai and Amarula. We only hope that this will not spring up as a surprise sometime during the course of the year. In conclusion, our big concern is in respect of the high cost of COE in the social cluster departments, which consume operational expenditure for these departments. Honorable Speaker, we want to warn all departments that the IFP will keep a watchful eye on all vultures who will use COVID-19 for corrupt activities. We are awaiting for a full report on the 22 million controversial blankets purchasing. We therefore call upon all members of this Honorable House to ensure that the draft budget presented to them by the departments are aligned to APPs and their programs. The IFP fully supports the 2020 Division of Revenue Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next member is Honorable F.A. Rogers of the DA for 4 minutes.
Diabulele Somlom. We're indeed living in a surreal and challenging time as we charter the waters of the COVID-19 pandemic. Allow me at the onset, Madam Speaker, to pass on our heartfelt condolences to those who have lost loved ones during this pandemic and our prayers during this difficult time. And we pray that during this difficult time, you'll find comfort and solace during your tragic loss. Madam Speaker, it would be amiss of me not also to acknowledge the tremendous sacrifice and commitment of our frontline soldiers, our doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers, who on a daily basis place their lives on the line trying to stem this pandemic. These are our true heroes of this pandemic. We thank you, we salute you, and our prayers remain with you during this difficult time. The debate on the 2020 Division of Revenue Bill is mostly an academic exercise, as the fiscal impact on our revenue has yet to be fully realized. The projected revenue cuts in both the equitable share and budget cuts of 2 billion, 2.7 billion, and 3.3 billion over the MTF were already going to impact heavily on our province and was going to prove to be an enormous challenge to address the needs of our people in our province. Added to this now will be the additional provincial budget cuts to fund the fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. We face challenges that none of our predecessors have ever had to face. The bottom line, and in simple English, we now have to do more with less. What this pandemic has indeed exposed in our province, Madam Speaker, is that the country still faces huge socio-economic disparities. The beleaguer of our nation has yet to be adequately addressed. Added to this, the evidence of that in some quarters in our state, we remain under capacity and unable to deliver on our required mandates. Our future has never been more the reduction of our provincial division of revenue. We have two simple choices. We can take the high road or we can take the low road. And looking at our current challenges in this pandemic, it purely points to the low road. It can never be business as usual. This would drive our province deeper into despair and economic despair and escalate the social disparities that face us. This challenge, Madam Speaker, the challenge facing us with COVID-19 affords us an opportunity to unite behind a patriotic front to confront the hard times and the challenges that await us. The DA supports the Division of Revenue Bill. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Rogers, the next speaker is Honorable Serja of the EFF for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and greetings, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, and all protocol observed. Honorable Speaker, EFF is not very much a part of the division of revenue bill. Actually, there is a larger reduction of conditional grants, which will be detrimental to the health sector. And this sector is already dependent on these grants, especially your HIV and AIDS sector. Again, it is mentioned that the equitable share will be reduced. Now, how is the fight against COVID-19 be fought if everything is reduced? One would have imagined the opposite, where more money will be allocated to the province to ensure that the fight against COVID-19 is intensified. The 5.2% increase in the allocation of KZN province is very unrealistic. Workers' needs increments, real inflation is high, prices of goods and services increases way above 10%. What will a 5.2% increase do? The MEC of Finance must detail to the province how the budget will be realigned to channel the budget of small departments and those which are not in demand in this period, such as the Department of Sport. It must be channeled to health and education. These two departments will be worst affected by COVID-19. And let us also not forget social department. Even though those people, they are paying 650 rand for Osonginja, but the province is poverty stricken, and social development needs to be also prioritized as well. Hello, am I in, Speaker? Hello, Speaker.
Your time, it's your time. The hello part is on your time, Mr. Honorable Member. We can hear you. We don't have a problem. Yes, you are driving without a safety belt, and we can hear you.
Yeah, so and social development also, Speaker, needs to be prioritized as well. And thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker for 1 minute is Honorable VR Mlotshwa of the NFT.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The NFP accept and acknowledge the Division of Revenue Bill. In its briefing on the Division of Revenue Bill, National Treasury said that the country's population had increased by 1 million from 2018 to 2019, bringing it to about 58 38.8 million. There were 49.1 million people dependent on public health care and 13 million learners in school, 9 million receiving free daily school meals, and 10.4 million poor households receiving free basic services. GDP was expected to grow by 0.9%. In 2020, although debt service costs amounted to 15.2% of the 2020 budget revenue, and that as a result, the budget had to make a reduction of 156.1 billion in non-interest spending. Since the expected growth of 0.9% GDP is not feasible while there is 15.2 debt services.
Your time, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Somlomo. Hey, umzwane Somlomo. Hey.
Thank you. The next member is Honorable Esther Rajbandri for 1 minute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Chair of Finance. The Division of Revenue Bill for the 2020-2021 year will be an interesting piece of financial legislation that we have to deal with. The fact that 2020 started with COVID-19 crisis, this has a direct impact on provincial responsibilities, and therefore we need to continuously heighten our oversight role. Therefore, the EMF in every portfolio committee we're represented has asked for separate cash flows for COVID-19 activities and savings as such, that is for spendings not pursued due to lockdown restrictions. Furthermore, as MPLs, we must be cognizant that National has requested budget returns from provinces, and we don't know yet how much of the 111.4 billion we would have to return of the equitable share to National. Of course, this is going to affect the various departments' baselines for service delivery. Therefore, we must also do our best then to prevent citizens' hardships. And I think that we as a legislature have to invest in different methods to allow citizens to interact with the legislature so that we know their hardships. The Minority Front also takes this opportunity to thank all essential workers for their dedication to protect our communities during these trying times. The Minority Front therefore supports the Division of Revenue Bill B03-2020 in its current form, as we will track budget processes until
the next member.
Thank you.
The next member for 1 minute is Honorable M.E. Pakati of the ATM.
Madam Speaker, thank you. The ATM welcomes the Division of Revenue Bill. We acknowledge that everything has been put in place, even though we are worried about the budget cut. But however, Madam Speaker, we want to say to all departments that this money should be used, or this budget should be used properly for whatever it's allocated for. The budget comes at a difficult time where the entire country and our province is facing COVID-19. We are pleading with the departments that the money should be used correctly and there should be no fruitless expenditure. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker for 1 minute is Honorable S.E. Manmele of the ACDP.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. ACDP accept and adopt the bill, Madam Speaker, with an emphasis that due to the emergency procurement deviation which has been allowed by the Office of the National Treasurer to do procurement on PPEs and other issues related to coronavirus, we need to make sure that we are closely watching the issue of expenditure in order to avoid corruption, make sure that all services and goods they reach people on the down floor level. With that, Madam Speaker, I want to thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mangale. The next speaker is Honorable MPP Zungu from the ANC for 7 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, we hold this debate in the month of May, Debt Africa Month, on the occasion of the formation of African Union in 1963. I therefore invite you to join me in jubilation and adulation with millions of our people in Africa and diaspora for yesterday's celebrated Africa Day, a day carved in history with zeal and unwavering determination of Africa to chart her own future, take responsibility of her development and commitment to be the master of her own destiny. It is in this spirit that I will borrow the wisdom of the yesterday century in Pixliga Isagaseme, the founder of the Africa's first and oldest liberation movement, when he made his address in the University of Columbia, pleading Africa's case to be afforded the opportunity to take a place in the civilization and the development of mankind. And I quote, "Nature has bestowed upon each of us a peculiarity, an exclusive patent, from the great giants of the forest to the tenderest blade. Catch in your hand, if you please, the gently flakes of snow. Each is perfect gem, a new creation. It shines in its own glory, a work of art different from all of its aerial companions. The races of mankind are composed of free and unique individuals. Each is a unique of self. It is in this unity, in our diversity, that the government of the ANC has formed our democracy and has valued, nurtured, promoted as the building blocks of our society since 1994. Honorable members, we are also meeting at the crossroads of each epoch, where life where life we know it is impacted by the global pandemic of the coronavirus, whose impact has plunged the domestic economy into the abyss and set the global economy into tailspin, shedding jobs and destroying livelihood. It is not a time to be divided, nor an opportunity for political point scoring, but a time to stand together as people and join hands in the fight for the survival of all of humanity. Honorable Chair, I want to state how do we use the division of revenue to respond to COVID-19. The division of revenue bill is gazetted under the section 214, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which provides for the equitable division of revenue for national, provincial, and local sphere of government. Speaker, allow me to center my debate on local government. There are drastic changes on local government conditional grants. For example, we have the informal settlement upgrading component, which remain in place in 20 and 21 financial year, and will be a separate grant in the financial year of 21 and 22. On the municipal infrastructure grant, this grant is now going to allow the municipalities to purchase waste vehicles, but on the transversal contract and only if expanding their services. On public transport network grant, the provincial government has a responsibility to assist rural municipalities to access this grant. However, it is worth great sadness that one of our municipalities, which is Umsunduzi municipality, has been suspended from the grant due to the lack of progress in rolling out the services. Thus, we must work closely with them to be reintegrated to this grant. With all the challenges we are faced with, we must applaud the ANC-led government on their continued consistency in increasing the local government condition grant from 52.1 billion in 1920 financial year to 56.3 billion in 2021 financial year. it is very important to note the submission by a select committee on appropriation, which will, in its essence, prevent the wasteful expenditure. The National Treasury must ensure that the concrete steps to build and demonstrate capacity to spend in the municipality is adhered to. The National Treasury should timelessly approve the rollovers contained in the bill for projects near completion for the receiving municipalities. Municipalities must also create or improve their credit control measures, debt management policies, and effective and practical revenue collection strategies. They must also use all available resources in line with the public financial management prescripts in a manner that reduces waste, that eradicates the opportunities of corruption, and promotes quality service delivery to the poor. The National Treasury must hold the local government budget forum to discuss the structure of the local government fiscal framework, including the size and structure of transfers. On draft Municipal Fiscal Powers and Function Amendment Bill, it be noted that this was published in January 2020 for public comment, and it seeks to address when I cite, I will cite just a few, to amend the Municipal Fiscal Powers and Functions and as Functions Act of 2007, and also to regulate the municipalities to levy development charges. Also to strengthen and enhance community participation bylaws and to establish the entitlement on the part of municipalities to withhold other approvals or clearance due to non-payment of debts. And on local government fiscal framework, local municipalities must use all available options to supplement their own revenue. That will boost even the way how we render our services. On local government capacity building, we urge for a continuous technical support to the local government. That will be done by the national and provincial treasury, as it had happened when we were introducing the municipal standard charge of account, that is MSCOA. The national government have already invested more than 2.5 billion per year in local government capacity building and support. Another important factor is that part of capacity building, municipalities need to invest on emergency and disaster units, and it must have a proper budget as other municipalities don't have that budget in these units that I've mentioned, that is disaster and emergency. In conclusion, I want to urge all citizens to tread carefully and continue to observe social distancing, washing hands, and all regulations defined by the NCC to curb the spread of the virus. We further commend the sterling work that is done by our provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal, led by Honorable Premier Uzikalala and the provincial command team. As the ANC, we fully support the bill. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, the last speaker to come to the discussion is the chairperson of the Finance Committee, is Honorable Singosi for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. We want to agree 100% with the input that was presented by Honorable B.N. Changas, because she specified the amounts towards KwaZulu-Natal that are contained in the bill. We also want to indicate that we agree 100% with the input by Honorable Hlabisa around the question of the spending of the budget, more specifically on the question of the conditional grants. And we also agree with him around the question of the suspected fiscal dumping when our own departments are transferring monies towards the end of the financial year. We also want to agree 100% with the input by Umhlegazo, Honorable Rogers, around the question of the impending amendments to the budgets as per the demands of this killer virus. want to agree 100% with him in that particular area. When it comes to Honorable Sitcha, I think we have to indicate that we are open to discuss with him a number of issues. But fortunately, I understand that he was not part of the engagement due to network problems of the place where he lives. I understand that part. Another input that I would want to comment on is the input by Honorable Zungu around the question of the allocation to the KZN municipalities. We agree with her 100% around the question of the suspension of the grant that is supposed to be going to Msundus. Where we agree more with her is around the question of the need to support that particular municipality so that it is brought back to the grant like other municipalities. And I would want also to conclude by indicating, Honorable Speaker, that we need to understand that we are living in times of business unusual. The fight against the virus will have to be intensified. If there is a need for all of us to sacrifice all the resources that we have in order to defeat this virus, let it be, Honorable Speaker. I understood with other parties where they had only 1 minute. I sympathize with them, but we got their own input and is in line with what is contained in this DORA bill of 2020. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Nkosi. Now, thank you, honorable members, to all of you. Now, honorable members, we've come to the end of the debate on the Revenue Bill, Bill 03-2020. Now the House needs to confer a final and voting mandate on the bill. As per the request of the Finance Portfolio Committee, I now put the question to the House, which is as follows. The KwaZulu-Natal legislature agrees to confer authority on 1, the KZN delegation, provincial delegation to the NCOP to cast a vote in favor of the Division of Revenue Bill, Bill 3 of 2020 at the relevant NCOP Select Committee. And 2, the head of the provincial delegation to the NCOP or a delegate designated by the head of the delegation to cast a vote in favor of the Division of Revenue Bill, Bill 3 of 2020 at the NCOP plenary. As I indicated prior to the start of the debate, I will now go party by party to obtain the vote and thereafter check if any member wishes to record an individual vote. Honorable members, I will go party by party to obtain the vote and thereafter check if any member wishes to record an individual vote. The first party that we will go with is the IFP.
IFP supports the bill, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, Secretary record. Then the DA.
Madam Speaker, the DA supports the bill.
Secretary record. Then EFF.
Greetings, Madam Speaker. As the economic freedom fighters, we support the bill.
Secretary record. The NFP. Honorable Mlotshwa, the NFP.
And yeah, Speaker, the NFP supports the bill.
Secretary, please record the MF.
Honorable Speaker, the MF supports the bill. Thank you.
Please record the ACDP.
Yes, yes, Speaker, ACDP also support the bill.
Please record the ATM.
Madam Speaker, the ATM also supports the bill.
Let's record the ANC.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The ANC supports the bill.
Oh, the ANC, I can't hear the person speaking.
Honourable Speaker, it's Zuma. I'm saying the ANC supports the bill.
Please record. Members, I have the votes of all parties. Is there any member who wish to express an individual vote that is different from their party vote or to abstain? Honourable member. Honourable member. You want to abstain or a different vote?
Oh, bengicela ukhoza ngiphindela ngizwanga kahle lapha ku-EFF kuthana ukhoza kumina.
No, indawo esikuyona njengamanje
Uspeaker ungizwile akubalekile ukuthi ungezwe. Uspeaker ungizwile mhlupha wena.
Mana Mkhatili. If there is none, Secretary, I am affording you time to tally the votes for a maximum of 10 minutes. Tally the votes. Please indicate the results at the conclusion. Members are requested to remain in the session as we move to the finalization of this item. I am giving you, Secretary, time to tally the votes.
Thank you, Speaker. We have been working on the numbers prior to this, and we have the results if you would like me to read it through to you.
Please read them.
Thank you. The total in support of the vote is 74. The total against is nil, and total abstentions is nil. So total is 74 in favor of the bill.
Okay, I therefore, honorable members, declare the result of the vote as 74 in favor of the bill and 0 against the bill. The ayes have it. Secretary, thereafter the item that will conclude the item on the order paper concerning the mandate on the debate to you, and it is concluded. Oh, here are my papers. The order paper at this time, the House is adjourned.
Order, Madam Speaker.
Bye everyone.